I can't believe that you're being so what is the word?
Selfish, pig-headed.
Really?
Her words, not mine.
Do you know how frustrating it is to have to translate everything in my head before I say it? To have people laugh in my face because I'm struggling to find the words? You should try talking in my shoes from 1 mile.
I think you meant...
I know what I meant to mean. Do you even know how smart I am in Spanish? Of course you don't.
This is a clip from Modern Family. Her voice might come from the comedy, but the feeling is real. That longing to speak freely, to be fully understood, echoes in the hearts of many. Here in Sydney, over 300,000 international students living and study here. For many of us, English is more than just a language. It can connect, but also divide. It can lift, but also silence. So we ask, is English a cage or a wing? We spoke to some international students from diverse backgrounds to hear what challenges they've experienced.
第一次在这里买东西我就很紧张，我就进了一个便利店买面包和牛奶，然后最后的时候他问我 Do you need a receipt？ 就是我听不清楚他说什么东西，然后我们两个就很尴尬，最后他就把那个 receipt 给我了，然后我就知道他问的是我 Do you need a receipt？
School, of course, especially in some classes here at the University of Sydney. The massive amount of technical terms and some teachers, accents and machine gun-like.
I guess during the time that I had to present something to the class, during my projects maybe, so I had to think of the proper language in a professional way where I can present myself. So I guess it was a bit difficult then.
Yes, as I said, I'm not very good at speaking English during my primary school time, and I think my teachers treat a little bit different to me and other classmates because I can't speak fluent English. I really didn't feel good and even a little bit scared of English.
From the interviewees' answers, we can clearly see their struggle. When actually applying English to life and study, they feel unable to adapt. It seems that the language skills we actually need to master are very different from the English education we received in the past. In writings on subaltern practice, Mahboob's argument about modern linguistics is nonsensical could probably help us to understand the struggle. Language is a dynamic human practice that changes with the time and space of human history, and it is nonsensical to study it the same way as observing, categorizing, and deconstructing entities. According to the past educational background of many interviewees, the experiences of learning English are nothing but memorizing words and phonetic symbols, studying grammar as formulas, and writing articles with fixed phrases and sentences. All of those are meant for one single purpose, to pass exams. It is already their habit to think language in a linguistic way, just following rules and orders of grammar, but without any real-world context. This results in situations where their knowledge from textbooks fails to assist them when daily conversations involve highly localized, informal expressions. Also, in writings on subaltern practice, subaltern linguistics refer to a form of linguistics conducted by a community to promote its self-empowerment, well-being, and prosperity. It is not limited by types of language or expressions. Even people without any modern linguistic education background could make use of it. The key point to understand subaltern linguistics is to understand people. It is people who use and change language, not being shaped or even caged by it. In the concept of socio-semiotic systems, people are meant to use all kinds of symbols to deliver meaning, transmit information, and maintain social structure in their communities. Language should be an approach, not a result. What's more, in Mahboob's article Beyond Global English, Teaching English as a Dynamic Language, the key of TEDL is to understand and respect that language is virus. It makes non-native speakers keep their right to maintain and expand the meaning-making potential of their local languages and dialects. Combining understandings of TEDL, the reason why non-native English speakers are unable to adapt to the local language environment is that their choice is limited to speak fluently like locals. Over time, the standard of fluent and authentic has become a kind of oppression, making their other ways of expression ignored. It is not that marginalized groups don't have a voice, it is that their voices are ignored, corrected, or even replaced.
These language rules affect how others see us and also create pressure inside us. Sometimes the hardest part of using English is in the grammar or vocabulary. It's what happens inside your body. For many international students, speaking English especially in front of others, brings real physical stress. In one of the videos we found on social media, a student is standing in front of the class and giving a presentation. She takes a deep breath, her hands are tight, and she avoids eye contact. You can tell she's nervous, maybe even scared. This is a clear example of material biological senses. It means that language is not just something we think about. It's something we feel in our breath, our heartbeat, and our muscles. These body reactions are real. Some students say their voice shakes when they speak, and some feel that their hands sweat. These feelings are not weaknesses. They are proof that communication is emotional and physical. And yet, many students choose to speak anyway. They raise their hands. They give it a try even though they know it's tough. And that moment of choosing to speak, despite what the body is feeling, that is strength, is resilience. When we think about speaking English, we often imagine words, but sometimes words are not enough. International students talk with native English speakers by smiling, nodding, and using their hands to help explain what they mean. Even if they forget the exact word, their message is clear. Their body speaks with them. That's a great example of what we call social semiotic resources. Things like gestures, eye contact, or facial expression. These are all part of how we make meaning in communication. What's more, we see students walking around campus wearing clothing from their home cultures. Bright colors, beautiful fabrics, and traditional designs. They are more than fashion. These clothes are symbols. They speak about identity, pride, and where someone comes from. Even without words, they tell a story. These students are not just learning English in the campus. They are bringing their full selves into the conversation, their bodies, their culture, and their creativity. And that's powerful. They show us that meaning doesn't only come from perfect grammar or vocabulary. It comes from how we move, how we feel, and how we express who we are. In the article English as a Lingua Franca, Concepts, Use, and Implications, Kogo 2012 shows how English as a Lingua Franca speakers exactly do this. In one example, a speaker says, "on the boat," but she's not sure if it's right. Instead of correcting her, her colleagues support her, playfully offering other transport metaphors like on the train or on the bus, and then say, "It's okay, we're all foreigners." In this case, they're not worried about being correct. They focused on being understood, included, and connected. Instead of fixing errors, they are more willing to build meaning together. Even in a system that favors perfect English, these international students show courage, creativity, and care. They turn language into a space of belonging through their voices, gestures, and cultural knowledge. They say, "I'm here, and I have something to say."
These moments of resilience remind us that English should not be a cage, but simply a wing for expression on our own terms. One moment that stood out was when RM, BTS leader, spoke about his first English interview in the US. He faced 11 broadcasters in 10 minutes, overwhelmed by accents, pressure, and confusion. But what mattered wasn't fluency, it was resilience. He kept going. RM later shared that he taught himself English by watching Friends, not to be perfect, but to be understood and to express himself. Years later, he stood on the UN stage, speaking not flawlessly, but with confidence, urging young people to speak yourself. As PDA reminds us, this is a good practice, using language not to imitate, but to express identity and agency.
Just speak yourself.
At UNSW, the Let's Communicate program offers English conversation workshops for international students. This helps create safe spaces for speaking, connecting, growing, and encourage students to use English without fail. This kind of peer-led space allows students to practice English without fear of judgment and to slowly shift their relationship with the language, from stress to self-expression. In a world where English often acts as a gatekeeper, Let's Communicate helps turn it into wings. This is what PDA calls a transformative practice. Throughout writings on subaltern practice, Dr. Mahbub reminds us that subaltern work is not about perfect English, but about creating space where people speak from their own realities, through voice, body, memory, and everyday practice. In this spirit, our project is a form of subaltern practice, a way for us international students to speak back, to resist silence, and to reclaim meaning on our own terms. We saw this not only in theory, but through many voices we encountered. Students using English not to imitate, but to speak with resilience and honesty, even when it was hard. When learners draw on their own voices, cultures, and lived realities, they are not failing to meet a standard. They are transforming the space. So we return to our guiding question. Is English our cage or our wings? What we've come to understand is English can confine and English can empower. It can marginalize and it can mobilize. But most importantly, English is not fixed. Its meaning is shaped by how we live it, challenge it, and claim it as our own.